Swiss-German symphonic meddlers Ad Infinitum began as the solo project for vocalist Melissa Bonny back in 2018. Melissa was formerly the vocalist for bands Even More and Rage of Light. It wasn't long though before the solo project manifested as a full band with Niklas Müller on drums, Adrian Theßenvitz on guitar, and Korbinian Benedict on bass. And I very much apologise if my German pronunciation is not great there. Ad Infinitum have released a ton of material in a short space of time, and I got to speak with Nick about the band and its impending release, Chapter 3, Downfall. Cheers for listening in. I'm Ez, and this is the Heavy Podcast. Hey Nick, thank you so much for giving me your time today.
Hello.
Let's talk about what the band is up to.
Of course.
So firstly, congratulations on the release of the new single, From the Ashes. The music video is very impressive. Are we allowed to know the secrets? Do you utilize movie magic, or were there real pyrotechnics involved in that shoot?
Yes. So actually both. All the fire you see in the video is true. It's real, including the ones on Melissa's hand and on my cymbals and stuff. Actually, the only spot where we used visual effects was when we had the wings in the very ending of the video. This is video effects, but all the other stuff with the fire going on, it's real, and it was hot.
Yeah, that's so cool. That's very badass. I imagine you have to put a fair bit of trust in the pyro team that are looking after you for that.
Yes, exactly. It was like the Gloomworks department, if I remember correctly. They were super, super friendly and super nice. We had one operator doing the flame jets, doing the performances. And then one sitting in front behind a corner, behind a pillar, and putting some flamethrower stuff in front of the camera. That was really, really fun to watch. And they also did all this little stuff.
What a cool job to have.
Yeah, right? That's true. It's like, so what do you want to do when you're older? I like fire. Okay, we got the job for you.
Yeah, just shoot fire at and around people.
Exactly. Yeah, and then all those little details like this hand burning stuff and the burning paste on my cymbals. It was like just mixed together. And the funny thing is, it was like, especially most importantly on the hand, it was just a short amount of time where you could set it on fire, and then you directly have to put it out again. So it was, yeah, very limited. It was like lighting on fire, 2, 3, and gone. But Melissa did an awesome job there. So that was very cool.
There'd be a lot of pressure on to get the takes right, so you didn't have to do that too many times, I would imagine.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, but everything was fine because the pirate department was like super prepared and super experienced. So we were in very good hands, and we're always talking to ourselves like, okay, guys, let's go the extra mile. And again, there was the extra mile, and it was totally worth it, in my opinion.
Now you've got to top that, though. Your next video, you've set the bar very high for yourself.
Yeah. I know.
You have a brand new album coming out in a couple of weeks. What can we expect of this record that might differ from your previous releases?
Well, it might get a little bit darker on one hand, as you can also see on the cover, because it's more darker and stuff. But somehow we still try to follow our path with like including a ton of genres, a ton of ideas, and not being dragged into one corner or say, it's symphonic metal or it's gent pop or something, whatever like that. It's very diverse, and maybe even diverser than the chapter 2. So, but eventually darker. That's what you might expect.
Yeah, darker is good. Darker is good. I also understand that there are themes relating to Cleopatra and ancient Egyptian mythology. Is it a concept record, or is there more like a compilation of stories?
What kind of both? I mean, it's not a concept record in that case, as you might compare to super progressive metal checked out stuff like Green Theater is doing or was doing. It's more like a theme we follow, most importantly regarding the lyrics, but lyrics is Melissa's department, so I'm not the expert here. But it's still the songs, lyric-wise, contain stories of the main character, which is Cleopatra, in this topic.
That's super cool. So I know you just told me that you're not the lyrics guy, but do you know where From the Ashes sort of fits into that theme and the story behind that song?
Yeah, I cannot go into details here, again, as I said, because I didn't write the lyrics there. But it's basically like rising from the ashes, going through the flames and coming back stronger than ever. Yeah, but I guess that's more a Melissa question, I'm afraid.
Yeah, where is she? Where is she when we need her?
She's actually in Paris, or at least yesterday they played in Paris with Camelot.
Oh la la!
Yeah, actually at the exact same venue where we were together with Amaranth and Beyond the Black and Butcher Babies.
Oh, nice.
I might mispronounce it in the Élysée Montmartre. I'm sorry for my French. It was a beautiful venue.
Your French is better than anything I'd be able to manage, so you're good, bro. So this record is probably going to prompt me to delve into learning stuff about ancient Egyptian mythology. I mean, I love that stuff anyway, but it's cool when something like this, like your record, compels the listener to dig deeper and like educate themselves further. So yeah, I can feel myself being drawn to the library to hit up some books thanks to your record.
Nice, good to hear that.
So Ad Infinitum has been through significant evolution since being born from the vision of Melissa's solo venture. So has your approach to songwriting changed since those early days, or is Melissa still like very much the driving force behind where the inspiration and the songs start?
Yeah, it changed since Melissa made the solo project into a band. On the first record, it was still more or less just Melissa writing songs together with our first producer, and I think I worked on 2 or 3 as well, because everything was very tight with the schedule and stuff, and just building the band, that was very very fast progress. But then with chapter 2, it changed, that we were all like contributing to it, and still Corona going on, so we made remote songwriting, but everybody was throwing in their ideas, and then we exchanged it, and those guys were working on these songs and this team was working on this song, and that was it for chapter 2. And for chapter 3 we wanted to try something different because we like each other. We wanted to meet for a recording session, so everybody prepared a little bit in advance, and then we met in the middle of Germany, so everybody had like similar driving distances, so it's kind of fair. And then we spent there a week, and it was just beautiful. And we worked on a lot of songs there and had like 2 working spaces. Adrian brought his setup, I brought my setup, and then we worked there and exchanged ideas, exchanged positions and stuff. So it was, and this actually the way we wanna go again, because it was so much fun and we enjoyed it so much. We always said like, yeah, let's do it again, but this time 3 months and not just 1 week or something like that. So it's a everybody's contributing and working on it.
Yeah, that's awesome, and you can get so much from riffing off other people, I think, than what you necessarily can if you've sort of got one particular person, steering the ship, so to speak. And I feel like you can hear that in the progression of the records that you've already produced. The other thing that strikes me as interesting that you just said that, obviously a lot of what you've done happened during the time of the pandemic, like when it was in its heaviest stages, so shall we say, and that's almost the opposite to what a lot of other bands have done, where a lot of other bands fell apart or sort of went on long breaks rather than actually almost create a whole new band and all these projects. So I feel like you guys should be super proud of yourselves for pushing and forging through when the music industry in particular was just having such a hard time of things.
Yeah, true. It was difficult though, but I mean the idea for this band, they were pre-corona. They happened pre-corona, so it was basically first album and first tour would have been in April 2020, so directly in the first lockdown. It was a super bummer, but we were still, yeah, super energetic and super motivated to do something. And we're like, okay, we have to find ways to give people the opportunity to listen to our music anyways, even if we cannot do the most simple answer to that, touring. So we did a lot of stuff online and tried to do as much as possible, and therefore also had the idea, because it was still going on, or lockdown coming again, for this Chapter 1 Revisited acoustic version of the first album. It would definitely not have happened if there was no lockdown. So that's a positive outcome of it, because we had that time and we had the time to revisit it. That was pretty good. But still, now that Corona is kind of over, and we had our first proper tour last fall, it was it was the real deal. It's you see it, you feel it. Yeah, that's why we're doing it, and there's no substitution of touring live and seeing people react to your music face to face and feeling it on stage. I miss that.
You've basically already then answered a question I had for you, which was, what is your preference? Do you like to get out and play live, or do you prefer the writing and recording side of things? But it sounds like it. I could see it on your face when you just lit up there and you're like, yeah, it's all about the live show.
Yeah, but not 100%, because I really, really love writing songs and producing songs and also recording songs. It's the whole process that makes me so happy, and especially when you start a journey of a song or of an album so early. It's like when I think of the first demos that I wrote here for the Chapter 3 stuff, until like in 2 weeks when it comes out, it's such a long journey, and there were so many milestones in between that, like doing the first draft, doing the songwriting session, then rehearsing it in my studio, then going to Jacob Hansen's place, recording it, then playing it first time with the band for the video shoots, and playing like Upside Down and Somewhere Better first time on tour. That until the album released, that's such a long journey, and I love every single part of it. But as I said again, the live section, it's just a different vibe and a different experience. But every single moment is perfect.
I suppose when you put it that way, the live experience is the opportunity to really watch what you've created during that long drawn out process really have life and take life, and then become a bigger creature, because it's not just yours anymore. It's everyone's. You're giving it to your audience.
Yeah.
And sharing it with your audience. So.
Yeah, you could say it like that. Yeah.
Yeah, you guys strike me as a very hardworking and driven band too, because like you've released an impressive amount of material in a short time frame in comparison with the average band, and then taking into consideration, the pandemic on top of that as well. So, normally the trade-off for that would be, when the trade-off for writing and releasing so frequently is usually less time on the road. And you did just say that, obviously that was impacted by the pandemic as well, but you still have managed to like squeeze a substantial amount of shows under your belt. So like, how have you found the juggle between, getting this record done and the tour that you did last year, being on the road as well? Are you able to write and tour at the same time, or do you sort of separate the two?
On last fall tour, we definitely separated it, because there was no necessary to directly write stuff on tour, because everything was prepared in advance. So we kind of made sure for this upcoming album that everything was due like to April 2022. So the whole industry behind it, like editing, mixing, mastering, and artwork and stuff, was able to be done in the background while we were able to go on tour, because we were not needed in person at a specific spot. So we could just be reached out and checking revisions on the phone or on the road. That's absolutely possible. But it is also possible to write songs on tour nowadays with just laptop and interface and guitar, and you can do a ton of work, but it was not necessary for this tour, but it might be necessary for this year because we have quite some stuff planned and we want to release new material again and very soon and stuff. But yeah, we will see about that.
You like it? A juggernaut, just no slowing down.
No.
Are there any plans to tour further afield and play outside of Europe, or hint hint, can we see you coming Australia way anytime in the future?
Yeah, I can't say anything about that. We have, first of all, scheduled a show in Atlanta in the US on the Prog Power Festival in September. That's the first time for us leaving Europe, actually. And there might happen other things, but I'm not allowed to give further details, I'm afraid.
Secrets.
Secrets, sorry.
So I was going to ask you what your most memorable performance to date is, and I feel like that may be changed very soon by the sounds of it, because it sounds like you've got some big travel plans coming up. But up until now, what's been the best gig for the band?
That's very hard to say. That's a very difficult question because I remember every single gig with this band so far. I mean, it haven't been that much, so I can still remember it. But every show had his one thing that was special or outstanding. If it was the crowd or a feeling, a cool musical fill-in, or I don't know, stuff, or a very good catering, everything could happen. Or also a mistake that happens, if it's a technical mistake or a musical mistake that I don't know, changes into something else. That could also make a show very special in a positive way. For example, we had a sampler breakdown in Budapest last year, and it turned out Melissa and Adrian playing super spontaneously an acoustic version of two songs that has not been rehearsed once, and they were just acting spontaneously, and Corby and me were fixing the technical stuff until we were back online. For example, there was a mistake, but turned out as a beautiful memory. So yeah, it's very hard to say. For me personally, what a moment I will always remember was when we were playing Somewhere Better in Munich in Zenit, because it was a venue I visited so many times as a fan of bands. And then going there and playing a show for yourself and seeing this amount of people like putting up their lights and waving it, that was, oh my God, for eternity, definitely. But it's hard to decide because every show had its one special moment.
I love the vision though of the mistake becoming a really memorable moment, and a really like positively memorable moment too. One I feel like that's a testament of a band that is very, very good at their craft, because an equipment breakdown, malfunction doesn't cease the show going on. And also, as a fan in the audience to things like that, you get a very personal experience then, because that moment isn't going to happen at any other shows. And so that's really memorable as an audience member as well, because those people that were at that show probably walk away from that and go, well, we watched this malfunction happen, and it just turned into this most brilliant, atmospheric, cool, spontaneous kind of thing. So I feel like that is a great memory to have.
Absolutely, yeah.
So if you could collaborate with anyone in the world, living or past, who would you choose? And I'm going to make you choose one of each, actually, because that just makes it a bit more interesting. So someone that you would have collaborated with if you could have, and someone living that you would like to in the future.
I start with the living one. I would love to, me personally, I would love to collaborate with Dave Grohl, because he's like, I don't know, always been there, and he's such an amazing person and amazing musician and creates amazing stories. And he was always like an idol of the drummer that was a guitarist. Same for me. It was always like, oh my God, that's so cool. And I love his musical storytelling. It's amazing. And I think he's a cool guy in real life. So
agreed.
That would be cool. And that person, that's hard, because there are so many insane talents that have passed. Wow. Mm,
What really obscure one that people wouldn't necessarily associate with your style of music or your band? Think of someone like really out there that you'd like to chuck in.
yeah, I can think of a few as well. The hard part is to decide.
You can choose more than one. Let's make this a group effort. Just gang vocals or something.
A group of it. Oh. Okay. Well, one thing would be Freddie Mercury, of course, because it was again an outstanding singer and an outstanding performer, and it would be interesting to work with him in both time frames. Like if you could like put him and take him and put him in our time right now and just working with him there, or do the exact opposite, jumping back and working with him back in the time when he was doing his stuff with Queen. That would be interesting. I guess that's the biggest thing. Yeah.
I feel like Freddie would have been all about jumping on some guest vocals for metal bands if he was still around with us today. I feel like he would vibe with it.
I think so too. Yeah, I think so too.
Okay, so I'm gonna throw you a curly one now because we're getting close to our wrap up time. But I do like to throw in a little bit of an offbeat question from time to time. So, given that the band name translates from Latin into forevermore or to infinity, let's talk about immortality for a little bit of fun. So if you were gifted or cursed, depending on your outlook, with immortality, would you prefer to spend times in hibernation, awakening every 100 years or so to experience a new world, or would you choose to experience the world uninterrupted through all of its changes, even if some of those changes were incredibly difficult to live through?
I would go with the uninterrupted one, I think, because when you're immortal, like you're going for the real deal and experience every minute of it. But I would definitely state that as a curse, because I think it's good that some things end. It's like you have a start when you're born and you have a finish when you die, and that's how it's supposed to be. So if you're doomed into eternity, I think it's hard.
I would tend to agree with you, and I feel like life would hold a lot less value. You know, the little things wouldn't mean as much if we just kept on going and going and going.
Exactly, yeah. That's true.
Although one might argue that as musicians, we live on eternally through our music. So, you know, there's something you leave behind.
Yeah, that's true. But that's something different. And I really love that about it, that you can create something or create art, music, a feeling, an idea that can eventually live on for way longer time than you're around. And I love that because it's like kind of a message that you leave to people long after you're gone. And I really love this fact or this idea of it.
Me too. Okay, well, did you have any last parting words that you would like to share with the audience before we wrap it up?
Thanks for supporting us. And if you don't, start supporting us and listening to our music.
Like I said, you've got a new record coming out in, what is it, like 2 weeks or just over 2 weeks? So hopefully that'll get a whole new fan base on board as well. So look, thank you so much, Nick, for spending time talking with me today. Yeah, I wish you very, very great success with the new record.
Thanks for having me. I really enjoyed it.
No worries at all. And hopefully we'll see you in Australia at some point in the near future.
I would love that, yes.
Enjoy the rest of your day.
Thanks. Have a good night.
The new album from Ad Infinitum is Chapter 3, Downfall, and will be available as of March 31st, so make sure you check it out. You've been listening to the Heavy Podcast. Stay rad and keep it heavy.